Okay, it's late, and I'm making a controller tier list thing because I feel like it. I don't think this thing's missing anything, other than the Wii Classic controller, but it has the Wii Classic Pro, which is just better than it anyway. But then again, it has the PS1 controller and the PS1 controller with the analog sticks, which then it's like, what's the fucking point of having the other one? Anyway, probably won't be too long. I already made it never used. I just felt like making this. So, pick a random one, Enemy Monimo. Okay, PS4 controller. Actually, I feel like at that point I might as well start with... This thing is just... There's no reason for it to exist. It is virtually identical to this one. And this one could be used on PS2s. I guess if the sticks get in the way for you, but like, that's such a specific thing. This adds a tiny bit more weight to the controller as well, which is much appreciated because all the PS controllers, except for 5, are just like weightless. The weight to them, which is a major complaint I have. I guess that's the thing, like, there's no reason for this to exist. Maybe these are cheaper on eBay, but like the only niche case is if you just want to rest your thumbs and you don't want to rest them on sticks. But like this could be used on a PS2 controller. Like it just outclasses this. So I think this is C tier. And then this one is basically identical, pretty much, to the PS2 controller. They're basically identical. Put them in B. This one looks cooler. So I will rank them in terms of like the one on the left is the best of the tier. I hate how fucking lightweight and flimsy these things feel. They feel like they're worth $10. That is my issue with them. They have no weight to them, and they also is used for baby hands. But I have used... I'm not like... if anything, you'd expect me to be nostalgia biased. You'd expect me to be nostalgia biased because, like... It was my first ever console. I used this controller. But no, like, it's just so lightweight and just nothing. You could say, why put it in B then? But it gets the job done. It's got like good grip on the. Although when my hands are like too sweaty, like they'll just slip right off. When they're not sweaty, texture feels good. Big sticks. I hate these rubber buttons actually. It's so fucking flimsy and don't do shit. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think I'll put it in here. What's like the actual good thing about this controller? If your hands are small, I guess it could fit. You might like the feel of these, but again, just slip right off. I much prefer sticks where it's like... I can't think of the word right now because it's nearly 4 AM. Got like a indent. I don't want like this outward shit. And also, again, flimsy fucking buttons. This feels like it comes out of a fucking like... I don't know, it just feels like it's sold for like $10 or some fucking... They always, like, even, like, knockoffs feel almost like the real thing. Now, PS3 controller. This has more... Okay, so I guess with the wire, and you can connect it from the wire, so automatically it's just better, right? But the thing is... Like... This is basically identical again. Except this button, PS button, is automatically better because it's not rubber, so it's automatically better. And second, it has small triggers, and I prefer the triggers. And again, it has slightly more weight to it. I don't see how this isn't just, like, objectively better. Unless, you don't like the triggers, but I don't see why you wouldn't like the triggers. I could put B tier. It's basically just objectively better. Then the PS4 controller. A lot of people don't like this, but it has more weight to it. It has a lot more weight, and it feels significantly less cheap. And that is a big deal. The buttons feel better to press, the triggers have been improved. Even the sticks are better in my opinion. They're even easier to slip off of, but they just feel nicer to just spin around in my opinion. My big issue with this is I do accidentally press the middle all the time, and there's no way to turn the light off, so it's just draining battery. But in my opinion, this is better in basically every way again. I would rather just use this, even though I still don't love it. Still say it's better than this. And then finally, the PS5 controller. So, I like this button. I like its colors. I like its weight. It's even heavier. I don't like the lack of colors. Really trying to make it like. I don't understand that. I guess to make it feel more futuristic, but it's just. I feel like it's dumb. However, you're not looking at that most of the time. This thing has insane rumble, like actually insane rumble. The triggers and nuts. Again, I feel like this is also just better in every way. I'm not in love with it, but it is generally pretty good. I wish some of his weight was like it was a little lower, some more weight focused around here. And I still would prefer like slightly different design sticks. But what can I actually complain about like at that point? Because everything it does worse is like so incredibly minor that I can't really complain about it. So that's the PlayStation controllers done. What else should I guess I'll do Xbox controllers. So the one on here that they show is the Duke controller, but I'm just gonna... The Duke controller is terrible. If you really want to know it's like, look at the shape of the buttons. It's just... Unless you have really, really big hands, and you don't mind the shape of these buttons, like, the controller's just bad. It's conventionally bad. I can't call it objectively bad, but it's conventionally bad for the vast majority of people. I'd put it, like, here or here. However, we're gonna pretend that this is the S controller. Now, the S controller looks like the 360 controller. They're quite similar. Obviously, this only has triggers and no bumpers. And it has black and white buttons over, like, here. And, doesn't have this, it has, like, an actual... I'm supposed to be talking about it like it's an S controller. The start and back buttons are under the analog stick. For movie, that is like the worst thing on planet Earth, but for most games it's probably fine. And then it doesn't have like the thingies, instead it has black and white buttons, which are worse. But as it stands, the controls also just a little bigger. And it can't be wireless. I think it's okay. It has way more weight to it, and it's more close to a controller that, you know. It is basically just worse 360 controller, unless you don't like the 360 controller's size. But I'd say it's probably better than PS2. But what about PS3? But this can be made wireless. And then to be fair, I did say the PS4 controls basically, but... yeah, I think that's fine. This makes it look like I like it more than I actually do, though. I kind of wish I had a D tier now. How do I make a tier? Oh, no, what am I doing? Oh. How do I, like... Okay, I meant to, like... Dude, how did I fuck it up again? Okay. And now this is D tier. So I'm gonna, like, chuck this here. And, like, chuck this here. And then I'll chuck the... here. Yeah. Next up, we have the 360 controller, just easy A tier. Like, the D-pad is abysmal, but you never need to use it anyway. These sticks are fucking great. They're very similar to the OG ones, but from my experience, they take longer to, like, rub out. The start and select buttons are in an actual good spot. Like, it has the bumpers, the triggers just feel a little better to press. It can be wireless. And it actually has, like, a USB port rather than, like, the OG port, which is just annoying, like, on the OG. This can be wireless, even if it has a wire, it's still superior wire. I like pressing the Xbox home button, it feels good. Like, everything feels good. It's just, again, unless this, you know, like, the size is just better in every way. So yeah, it's just a thing of the D-pad, and I wish it were just, like, a little bigger. But other than that, it would be S tier, but I'm gonna put it, like, here. Then the Xbox One controller, honestly, it's not great. Because it's like, oh, how is it better than the OG controller? Well, obviously, you know, the bumpers are better. It's more sturdy, it's even heavier, it's like the perfect size. The buttons are, in my opinion, cooler. The D-pad is better, even if it still sucks. But the main thing for me... it's the sticks, and the sticks are the most important part. Not about their placement. They're too small, and, like, on the edge, they got, like, some grip shit, and it's, like, way too harsh. Like, try spinning around with it, it fucking hurts. It gives you blisters. And that is a massive detrimental issue. If it just had the 360 sticks, I'd probably put an A tier. Hell, I'd maybe even move the 360 controller to B tier, because it'd be a comparative thing. But, like... that's most of what... yeah, that's basically all it is. And that's a pretty massive issue. It's way too big of an issue. It alone makes me just want to use the 360 controller. And again, like, the 360 controller one, eventually, like, the rubber wears off and shit, but, like, I'd rather still use it, man. It would. And then we get to the Series X/S controller. This controller's pretty good. I don't like the Xbox button, by the way, like, not being the cool green anymore. But it is basically the same. So they made this better, the sticks. They're a lot less harsh on the edge, and they're, like, I swear they're, like, very, very slightly bigger anyway. But yeah, the edges are now smoother, and the D-pad is unironically good. It's probably the best D-pad on any, like, 3D... like, on any controller with analog sticks. I'm not even joking. It's gotta be the best. It feels really good. This has grips that this one just doesn't have. It uses USB-C connection. Like... the triggers feel even better. It is just objectively superior to this one in every way conceivable. And every small thing isn't even less, like, it's rather big, in my opinion, like, just the sticks being better. The D-pad's not a big thing, but it is there. Just it being nicer to hold, got more grip, feels even more premium. But again, if it just had those sticks, dude, it'd be easy ass. It'd be my favorite controller, but it's just inferior sticks. God, the rest is just Nintendo stuff. So first is the SNES controller. I have used it. I have, this uses the North American one, but the PAL Japanese ones look better. It uses different colors for the buttons, it looks better. This is honestly a good controller. The D-pad is pretty good. Even though these, the start and select buttons are rubber, they're surprisingly decent. The shoulder buttons don't dig in that much, but they're very comfortable to rest your fingers on. I do wish this controller were a little bigger. But for the time it was made... the buttons aren't the most convenient thing, but they are good. Honestly, the controller's pretty good for what it's worth, honestly. I guess just, yeah, a bit bigger and just, like, more weight to it and just more, like, input with the shoulders buttons, I guess, and if these weren't rubber. There's much you can really say with such a simple controller. Then there's the N64 controller. The D-pad, like, you have to obviously, like... Oh, you're supposed to use 3 hands for this? Heh. For its time, like... I think it's surprisingly decent. It has a decent amount of weight to it. The buttons feel pretty good. When the stick is new, it feels good. The shoulder pads have the shoulder buttons have a bit to be desired, but it's not that bad. And the Z button, same sort of thing, but it's still like comfortable. In my opinion, this controller is underrated in that sense. However, the stick is abysmal, dude. A few hours of use already starts like feeling a bit like sandpaper. And that's obviously incredibly detrimental. So I'm gonna put it like here. Even though the PS1 sticks last longer, it's worse in every other way in my opinion. Granted, the PS1 controller has more buttons. There's more shit you can do. This feels more comfortable to hold. More colorful and interesting. Buttons feel better, like... And when the stick is brand new, it feels better in my opinion. Now, I've been very conflicted with the GameCube controller. I had it as a kid. I don't know why these are such an ugly looking picture. I had it when I was a kid, so I got nostalgia bias for it. The A button is too big, the B button's too small. These buttons, I always forget in what order they're in. The shoulder buttons just do not feel good to just fully press down. It's just too tall for no reason. The Z button just feels like shit. The D-pad is practically fucking useless. There's no select button for some reason. The C stick is just objectively inferior to the main stick. It feels okay in my hands. Basically, I think virtually everything is bad about this controller. Except for A, its fun colors. And unique enough design to stand out. And B, it has, in my opinion, the best analog stick of any controller ever. It click-clacks so loud, and it feels so good to use, and it's so responsive. It doesn't have full 360 directional control, in the sense of there's notches, but it makes it easier to make more, like, specific directional inputs, which for a kid is good. And it still feels like you have practically 4-inch control anyway, like... I kind of prefer it, even. More precise input and stuff, because when the dead zones start to wear off, like, at least you still have, like, those inputs to dig the analog stick into. So, yeah, that's what it comes down. The stick is phenomenal, and it feels fine in the hands. And at the very least, the A button being so big, at least it means you won't miss it, I guess. Don't really like anything else about it, and the colors are nice. I don't really like anything else about the controller, though. But for the just insanely good analog stick, I feel like it has to go in B tier. It's also got better weighting than the PS controllers until 4. What came after that? I guess the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. The Wii Remote is surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. And it doesn't suck the batteries too much. It's obviously a very simple controller, but that's what made it so fun and creative and easy to use. Of course, it's extremely limited. It's technologically, other than Bluetooth, what's it fucking called? Other than its wireless functionality, it is just inferior to the other controllers. The Nunchuck uses the exact same stick as a GameCube stick, by the way, but it just doesn't quite feel as good because it's got a flat surface. But yeah, just pointing, like, it's surprising how good some games are despite having to work with this. The motion controls are quite good. The Nunchuck feels good, like the button is just easy to use, really easy to use. Although it doesn't need batteries, there's no wide connection that you can do. Because it's so easy to use and it does have, it's surprising what you can do with it, I'll leave it in B tier. But when it came out, it was inferior to the competition, and it was just to appeal to a casual audience, and it didn't really fully work out, in my opinion, but, you know. Oh, I forgot about the Dreamcast controller. I haven't used it that much. Its weight actually feels pretty good. The D-pad is okay. The stick is surprisingly okay as well, and the buttons don't feel bad, and they're nice and colorful, and the triggers are decent. They feel like the Xbox ones. But it's fucking massive. The stop button is just, like, so out of the way for no reason. There's no reason for it to be this big. It is like the fucking Duke. There's no reason for it to be like that. Make it much smaller. Could have had something good on our hands, but otherwise... It can't drift, I will say that, so that's something, and it has good weight, but, like... Yeah. Next up is the Wii Classic Pro. It's pretty good. It's kind of just a better GameCube controller. The shoulder buttons feel better, the start button feels better, there's a select button. The analog sticks feel worse, but that was to be expected. But it's hardly worse because it's still using the GameCube sticks, but with like a different like thing. The buttons feel better. And this is pseudo wireless because it has a very short wire, but you connect it to a Wii controller. But you have to connect it to a Wii controller. That's my issue with it. The other thing, I don't like when sticks are on the same level as each other. Really, I should have mentioned that with the PlayStation controllers. With PlayStation, I've gotten used to it, but with like a Wii, you know, When playing Mario Kart Wii, it's like kind of cringe because I gotta move my thumb from the stick to the D-pad up specifically to its wheelie by a long distance. But I would just call this. The sticks are almost as good. Well, the C stick is superior. The analog stick is quite inferior, but not by like a ton, and everything else about it is just better form factor and everything. And it is pseudo wireless, so I feel like it's just gotta go like here. Next up is the Wii U gamepad. It's not as bad as it looks, but it's still. If you're not looking at the gamepad, there's no reason for it to be that big. Its battery life sucks. The screen resolution sucks. It's not even truly like. It's not even like a true portable compatible thing. So its gamepad functionality on being able to see the screen isn't even that big of a deal. You can use it like a TV remote and stuff, which is pretty cool. But it is a very generic feeling controller, and then it's comically big and stupid. So it's going like around here. Then is the Wii U Pro Controller. I don't like the sticks being above the buttons. Other than that, it's a good controller, but like, dude, I'll put it like... The sticks are inferior to the GameCubes and the Wii Classic Pros. Everything else about it feels like the same or better than the Wii Classic, but it's just like, I don't like that. It always is hard to adjust to. Then again, its battery life is actually pretty good. Uh, the Joy-Cons, I think they're overhated. They come in handy when one has died or, like, you gotta use them as makeshift when your friend comes over, you know what I mean? That being said, though, like, they drift extremely easily, and they don't feel good to hold unless you put them in, like, that controller holder thing. The buttons are just, like, eh. The plus and minus buttons just hardly feel of anything. The shoulder buttons have, like, nothing to them. The Joy-Cons have, like, no weight. They have HD rumble, but it barely gets used. They look good on a Switch, but that's not saying that much. They come in a lot of fun colors and designs, but that's not saying that much. They're not very good, but the sticks feel good, and there is that little niche case of just being able to use one. But call it, like, around here. Now this is just straight up S tier. Again, I don't like the sticks. I like them a little less than the 360 controller sticks. And I think they're just simply not as good as the GameCube controller sticks. But, like, the D-pad is a lot better. The weight is really good. God, the fucking LNR trigger thingies, like, feels like a lot better. It's wireless and it lasts forever. It uses USB-C. The buttons feel really good. Like, the sticks are in the right place. Like, it's like slightly transparent and it looks cool. It feels really premium. And the sticks still feel good in last stages. Literally the only thing I don't like, apparently they can still drift, but I haven't had that issue, and I think they can drift less than the Joy-Cons. The only, again, if it just had like GameCube sticks, it would literally be perfection. What is this fucking music? Okay, well anyway. It just took everything about other controllers and just made it, you know, perfect size, perfect feeling, full features, just a good grip, like... It's, I mean, the D-pad doesn't feel as good as, the Series X's, but, like, again, you hardly use it. So it's not a very big factor at all. Switch Pro Controller just cleans. Just giving GameCube sticks is actually perfect. So yeah, this is the list. Maybe I'll see this in a month and be like, wow, this is stupid, I should die, but... I don't know, I think we got somewhere with this. Anyway, bye. Lol.